and how you started, how you got into this, and then we can jump right into the book and to the target audience?
Absolutely. So I got started loving writing and loving reading pretty much when I learned how to do them back in first grade. I've always had my nose stuck in a book. I've always enjoyed reading and writing. I've always loved characters and messages and things that come from books. And I've always found that errors in writing just sort of jump right off the page at me, and I see them and I want to fix them. So I kind of put all of that together to help audiences, or I should say to help writers get the audience they need to get to.
I love that, because I'm going to tell you right now, words don't jump off my page. So people like you are very important in life. So then what did you write about in the book, and then how do we connect better with our target audience?
Okay, well, what I wrote about in the book is really for business owners or people who do writing for their businesses, because a lot of people don't like to write or don't know what to say or don't know how to get started. So what I talk to them about is just that, how to get started, how to find your target audience, and how to reach them in a way that they're going to understand and they're going to connect with, so that they will come to your website or come to your store and you'll get the results you need.
Oh, I love that. All right, so I'm a business owner, and I used to not love to write, but I've learned to write better. So what's some of the things that we need to learn about as business owners or people who write in our businesses to connect better with our audience? Especially, how do we get over this I hate writing thing?
Well, the very first thing you need to do is not make extra work for yourself, especially if you don't like writing. So to do that, you need to really know your audience. You need to know where they hang out, what they need from you, and how you can get it to them. And the reason I say that is because if you're writing for Twitter and your audience is hanging out on Facebook, you're doing extra work that you don't need to do. So why do that, especially if you don't like it? So figure out where they are, what they need, and then you can put your efforts into the right place.
Makes sense. And so many of us are in the wrong place. So how do we figure out that we're in the wrong place? Like you just said, we're on Twitter when we should be on Facebook. How do we figure out where to be in the right place? It's
research. It really is research. You look at all of those gazillions of options, and we know there's Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and all of those places. You have to do research about your audience and really get to know them and really figure out where they are and who else they're buying from. Do research into your competitors too, to see where they are and who they're selling to. And then you can figure out where you should be.
And then once we figure out where we should be, how do we start writing? What do we do, especially for those of us who don't like it?
Okay, well, the first thing and the most important thing that you always need to do is think like your customer. Your tendency is probably going to want to be to tell them all about you and how wonderful you are and why they should buy from you as opposed to anybody else. Don't do it. Think of your customer. What does your customer need? What do they want? What pain do they have? And then think about how you can help them solve it. So instead of talking about me, and how wonderful I am, say, this is what I think you need, and this is how I can help you get there.
Do you find that lots of people talk about me too much?
Yes, unfortunately, that is a thing that I do see a lot. And, it's a natural tendency because you're really good at what you do. You love what you do, and you're good at it, so you want to share that with everybody, and that's great. But the thing of it is that there are other people who are good at what you do too. And if you want your customer to stay with you, you need to explain to them, I know this is what you need, and this is how I'm going to help you solve it. And then a little later on, maybe in your About Us page of your website or a little later on a blog, then you can kind of talk about me.
So where does all the writing come in all of this?
Well, the first place people are going to go to look for you is a website. Everybody searches for everything on the web anymore. I mean, no one really ever uses any other form of communication. So you're going to want a website that, first of all, looks appealing, and I don't do design, so that wouldn't be my thing. But the next thing is that people are going to look for is what it says. So you want, especially that homepage of your website, You want it to say what your customers need to hear. Are you having a problem with your heating? Well, we've been in the heating business for 25 years. This is who we've helped. This is how we help them. And this is how we can help you. You need to let people know that this is what you do and this is how you're going to help them.
Do you think that there are any exercises that we should be doing that will make us feel like we could write better or that we could reach our target audience better?
It's practice. It really is practice. I can't tell you how many times I myself, as an experienced writer, have typed a whole page of copy and hit delete for the entire thing.
Really?
Yeah. You really have to practice. As I mentioned before, look at what your competitors are doing. You'll get good lessons from them in either what to do or what not to do, both equally important. And keep practicing. Show it to somebody. I'm going to recommend showing your work to somebody else for a bunch of reasons. And then talk to a professional. If you're really having a tough time with it, there's a number of ways that someone like me could help you get started. Even if you don't want me to do everything, I can help you get started so that you can do it yourself.
So how would that work?
Well, it would just be, you come to me and you say, this is what I want to say. This is what I do. I interview people. I talk to them. I talk to business owners, and I can get to the heart of what they need. I find out about their business, and when I do that, then I also do a little bit of market research into their competitors so I can see what their competitors are doing. I learn about businesses that way, and then I'll help you get started. I'll present a few openings, and maybe I'll just send you back a sheet with, okay, here's 5 different ways that I think you should open your website. Which one do you like best? And then you can continue from there.
Okay. I can already hear people in the audience as they're listening to this going, oh, I can't afford that. I just have to do it myself. Is that truth?
Sometimes you can't afford not to do something. And yes, I can understand why people would think that. And people think that writing is something they can do because everybody learned how to do it when they were in grade school. Mm-hmm. The thing of it is, are you doing it well? Are you reaching your audience? Are you distant enough from it? Because sometimes you're way too close to your own writing and your own company to see it with an objective set of eyes. And that's what's going to get you in trouble. If you post stuff like that on your website, people aren't going to stick around very long.
So then you said there were 3 things. How do I know that I'm writing well? How do I know that I'm reaching my target audience? And then if maybe I'm too close to it. So let's go through those points. What's
okay.
The first thing? How do I know I'm writing well, or I need to hire someone like you because I'm not a good writer?
Well, the first thing I would suggest is just showing it to somebody else. It doesn't have to be a paid professional. Show it to your spouse or your best friend or something like that. If that person picks out a lot of errors or has a lot of questions or says, well, maybe you should do this or maybe you should try that, then you can kind of get a hint that, okay, maybe this isn't the best it could be and I really need some help with it. Also, that prevents errors because your brain can think a lot faster than your fingers can type. So a lot of times you will have meant to say something in your head, but a word gets skipped on the paper because we're trying to go too fast. So first of all, it's going to give you a more objective look into your writing, and it's also going to pick out those errors that you might have forgotten.
And then how do I reach my target audience? So if I think that I've done a good job in terms of writing what I'm writing, are there certain things that the target audience needs to hear from me?
Yes, they need to hear what you are going to do to help them. The one statistic that I hear over and over again that really sticks with me is that humans have an attention span of about 7 seconds and goldfish are 8 seconds. So I know it sounds crazy, but it's true. And the where that hurts business owners is if they can't find what they need quickly, they're going to click somewhere else. And the way to measure that is, are you getting more clicks to your website? Are people actually coming? Are they staying? Are they contacting you? That's a big way that you're going to know if your writing actually works.
And then there was a third point, which of course now I've forgotten, was the third point that you said? How do I know?
How,
How am I doing well?
I'm sorry?
Listen, how am I doing well?
Well, yeah, how are you doing it well? And again, that's going to be a matter of showing it to other people. If you can't afford to come to a professional, again, it's pretty much a repeat of what I said before. Show it to someone else because they're going to find your errors a lot quicker than you are. They're not going to know what was going on in your brain and what you meant to say. So if you skip a word, they're going to see it.
So then how do we get started in terms of writing really good copy for our target audience so that they'll work with us?
Well, the first thing, as I said, you need to do is to know your competitors. Really, really know your business.
Is there something
Know,
I should know about in terms of my competitors? There's certain things I should be looking for, or just in general, how I differ from them?
I think, well, how you differ from them is going to be very important in your final piece of writing. Um, but you want to know what they're doing, what they're selling it for. And then you're going to, you just really need to think. And the first thing I like to do is just make up a list. Okay, if I was my customer, what do I want? I need, A, B, C, D, and E before I'm going to buy from this person. I need to know that they can provide those 5 things for me. And think about that. What are the top 3 things you provide? What are the top 5 things you provide? Whatever it might be. Really think about them and write them down. And if that doesn't have to be in any particular real good writing, just a list for you, because this is just for your own self so that you can get started. But you need to know exactly what it is that your customer is looking for. And once you know that, then the writing can start to flow a little bit better.
And then, so once I know that, is there certain things that I just need to start and just write something, or?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly what you should do. You should just start writing. And so many people think that they have to start at the beginning of a piece. And that is not necessarily true.
Really?
You can start, yeah, oh yeah, you can. In fact, I often recommend writing the beginning at the end. And the reason for that is because once you've gotten the meat and potatoes, the real, bulk of what you want to say, sometimes an introduction is just going to make itself clear to you. But when you're trying to start coming up with a cute or clever or, an introduction that's really going to catch people's eye, a lot of times it won't come to you right away, and that's what turns people off to writing, and they say, I don't want to do this. I can't do this. I'm just not going to do this. And they shut their computer and walk away. But write the middle, talk about what it is your customers need and how you're going to provide that. And it doesn't always work, but sometimes an introduction is just really going to show itself to you based on everything that you've written.
Interesting. All right. And is there a certain amount of time I should write for, or, should I write every day, or?
No, you don't have to write every day. Once you have your website copy completed, and that can take anywhere from hours to days, depending on
Hours and days?
Well, how long? It depends on how long it takes you. And I don't mean hours like 8 hours a day. I mean, you might want to do it for an hour here or half an hour there, or, kind of when you can fit it in. Although I do recommend when you have an assignment, if you will, of this nature, or you have to get a website done, I do recommend setting aside a certain amount of time every day. Put it on your calendar just like you would every other appointment. Shut the door, turn off the phone, turn on music if that's what makes you feel good. Writing is an activity that's hard for a lot of people to get into. So make yourself as comfortable as you can be, and you'll get more done. If you're feeling comfortable and you're feeling good, wear comfy clothes if that's what you need, light a candle, do whatever it takes to set that creative mood for you. And if that means, going to the coffee shop and writing with a whole bunch of people around you, then go ahead and do that. Whatever works. There's no hard and fast rules. What's going to work is what's going to be good, because then you'll get what you need on paper. or on your computer.
Yeah, I find some Twizzlers and, some potato chips are a great inspiration.
Well, those help too. Those definitely help too.
No, they don't help for, keeping your girlish figure, but they do.
No. No, but sometimes writing and keeping your girlish figure are two completely separate entities. So we have to keep them
That's
that way.
for another show, but okay with that.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, and then just give yourself time and see what happens, see what comes of it, and go from there. What you did the first day, then try it again the next day.
Now, we found that we've talked a lot about website copywriting. Is there other writing that we should be doing besides website copywriting?
Yes, there is. Once your website is done, you want your customers to continue to know about you. And for that, you do want to blog. Blogging is extremely important as a business owner, especially a small business owner.
Oh,
and
it's so time consuming.
Yes, it is, but you don't have to do it every week. In fact, I would recommend that you do it once a month. In most businesses, hearing from someone once a week is just way too much, and people are just going to tune you out after a while. Once a month, I think, is usually a good idea, because think about it. Every industry has times of year that might be important for them. Perhaps you're in a holiday-based industry, so that means right now is your important time of year. Or perhaps you're a real estate agent and, you want to talk to people after the winter about getting their house, the outside of their house, looking great for the spring and for people who are going to be coming around looking at homes. Every industry has its own specific time that is important to it. So the first thing I recommend you do is write down what those times are, kind of make yourself a little calendar. I call it an editorial calendar, and I help my clients with them all the time. And we fill in that editorial calendar. Okay, in March, we're going to start talking about curb appeal for houses. Or in September, we're going to start talking about Halloween costumes, whatever fits your time of year. And then after that, we do what we call evergreen copy, which really is anything that can fit in at just about any time of year. Most businesses will find that there's several months where there's something important enough going on that they have an automatic topic to write about. And filling in that evergreen copy really isn't as hard or as daunting as you would think it is.
I'm a little overwhelmed by all of this editorial content. How do we break it down to make it easy for all of us business owners who have so much more to do?
Well, you certainly can hire someone. It certainly does help. And I understand, believe me, I understand the overwhelmingness of all the things you have to do. I think what you have to think about is, even if you only blog quarterly, even if you make it manageable for what you can do, the key is consistency. If you choose to do something, let's say you choose to put out a blog once a month and it's on the 15th of the month. As you grow a following, people are going to expect to hear from you. So you want to keep that consistency. So the first thing you need to think about is, how consistent can I really be? Can I do once a month? Should I only do once a quarter? And then see what happens from there. And whatever you decide, just make sure that you stick with it.
So if accountability is key in this, right?
Absolutely.
So if I was to get started and said, okay, I'm getting over my I'm not a bad writer thing, I can write stuff, and my website's doing okay, where do you think I should start?
If your website is doing okay, then the next thing I would say you should do is start a blog. And
do I have a blog already? Then is there something else I should be doing?
Well, then you would move on to social media.
Oh.
That would be your next step that you would want to take, is to really get into the social media world. And again, so much of that depends on what your business is, what your industry is, and where your audience is. If you're selling something that's really pretty, you're going to want to be on Instagram. It's just a given. Or Pinterest too. If you have, a product or a service that's not particularly pretty but is very worthwhile, then you're going to want to be on Facebook. And the social media realm, that gets really overwhelming. So
We'll save
There,
that for another day. How does that sound?
yeah, I think we should.
Okay, I get that. All right. So if we wanted to contact you, Sue, and talk to you, or we wanted to buy your fabulous book.
This fabulous book, you mean?
Yeah, that one. If you want to buy this fabulous book, my light is in the way of that. How do we reach out to you, and how do we work with you?
You can find me online at editingbysue.com, or you can call me at 973-362-5382, or you can email me at Sue_Toth, Toth, at editingbysue.com.
And what would be the kind of things that we want to talk to you about if we were going to call you up?
You would want to talk to me about, first of all, your website copy.
Okay.
If you're not happy with that for whatever reason, we could talk about how to make it better. It can be either rewritten, or it can be proofread for errors and things like that, which is something I did forget to mention. No matter what you do in your writing, no matter when you do it, how frequently or infrequently you do it, make sure it's clean. Because if it's not, people are going to think that if you can't care enough to have a clean website, maybe that you don't care enough to do whatever it is you do very well. So you do want to be careful with that. So you would want to talk to me about that, or we could discuss blog writing, or, coming up with a calendar for your blogs. And actually right now, to everybody who watches today, I would like to offer a free half-hour consultation about your website. Yes. So I will look at your website. You can, get in touch with me in any of the ways we just discussed. And I will look at your website and I can help you decide, does it need a complete rewrite? Does it need to be proofread? Maybe parts of it don't need a rewrite and parts of it are okay. But we can work through that together and I can come up with recommendations for you.
Awesome. So you know what? Again, contact Sue. Just give your contact information one last time before we go, so that people get this free. I mean, you should take advantage of this free half-hour consultation with Sue. She's brilliant.
Well, thank you. You can call me at 973-362-5382, or email me at Sue_Toth at editingbysue.com, or you can reach out to me via my website, editingbysue.com.
Perfect. Sue, I have to tell you, you've been a wonderful person to interview. I know that all the tips that you've given today are incredibly helpful, and I know everyone will go off and start to implement them, and if they can't, they should reach out and contact you.
Well, thank you, and I've really enjoyed being with you too.
Well, thank you so much. Is there any last words before you want to say before we say goodbye?
Happy writing.
Thank you. Happy writing. Everyone, go out and get great results. I'm Janelle, the Results Queen. Thank you so much for joining with us today, and have a fantastic day.